What's up guys, it's Kristen here today with a book haul. Now I've actually only ever done one other book haul on this channel before because I always talk about how I don't keep a TBR pile, I only read my books month to month and I get most of them from the library. But then I got looking around and saw some really interesting newly released books, so I contacted some of the publishers and they very graciously sent me review copies. And these are like some of my most anticipated books for the entire year, though I'm going to split this haul into two parts because I really want to have enough time to talk about each book. And I don't want this to be a 20-minute video, of course. So first we're going to start off with the books that I was sent from Crown Publishing. So first up, this is actually a book that I'm going to be doing a buddy read with next week. I am so excited. It is The Vegetarian by Kang, and she is a Korean author, so it was translated by Deborah Smith. This one has definitely been making the rounds on BookTube recently. I've seen so many reviews of it. It was longlisted for the Man Booker International Prize. This is about a South Korean woman who starts to have very disturbing thoughts or dreams, and so she decides to become a vegetarian. This is obviously not the norm. It's almost viewed as a rebellion, and I think it leads to a lot more dark and disturbing behavior. I've heard this is an extremely unique book. Some people say they don't really know what to make of it, and me being a vegetarian myself, I was initially grabbed by the title, though now I've heard so much praise and hype for it, and I can't believe in this one little small book that there can be that much packed into it. Next, I have The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan. This is a magical realism book, I believe, as it is based on Scottish myths and fairy tales. This is about a woman who is a gracekeeper, meaning that she administers seaside burials and she brings the dead out into the depths of the ocean. And at the same time, she has exiled herself on an island in order to do penance of sorts for some mistake that she made a long time ago, but it still haunts her. I've heard the writing in this is just incredibly beautiful. It makes me think of the way people talk about burial rites, which is one of my favorite books of the year so far. And I'm always a sucker for these beautiful deckled edges. And then I have the book Eleanor by Gurley. This is another magical realism, beautiful lyrical writing type book. If you're noticing a trend, that's kind of my thing. This is the story of a young girl named Eleanor who, when her identical sister dies, her entire family really just completely falls apart from the tragedy. And then during this horrible time of grief, she begins to somehow travel to other worlds in a way. And she keeps going back and forth until one time she is eventually completely torn from our world and she visits this other one where she meets this interesting cast of characters who teach her about her family and their loss. Again, this book just sounds right up my alley of very dark magical realism, and I am hoping to do a buddy read with this one as well. Now, the next three books were sent to me from House of Anansi Press. This is a Canadian publisher, and the first book they sent me is another one of my most anticipated books of the year. This is getting so much hype on BookTube. It is Our Endless Numbered Days by Claire Fuller. I unknowingly, though, already bought the UK cover, so hopefully when I eventually do read it and do a review, I can give one of these away. This is the story of a young girl whose father tells her that the world is going to end, so they have to go live in the wilderness in the middle of a forest in a log cabin in order to, I guess, survive the apocalypse of some sort. Then the story flashes forward to her in adulthood, obviously knowing that the world did not end, but you're not sure what exactly happened while she was in the forest and how did she eventually leave it. And next I have A Whole Life by Robert Seethaler. I don't know why I can't pronounce this name. This is a German book and it was translated by Charlotte Collins. This is another one that has just been longlisted for the Man Booker International Prize. It is about a man living in the Austrian Alps and he just lives a very simple life, but eventually he goes off to fight in World War II and his world kind of comes apart, and when he returns to his home in the valley. He sees how it has changed since he left. It has this message of solace and truth, which is something I naturally gravitate towards, and this is one of the books that I will be reading for the Genrethon readathon, naturally because, again, it's a fairly small book and I can get through it pretty quickly. And lastly, I have The Butcher's Hook by Janet Ellis. I mean, we can't not talk about this cover. It's just stunningly gorgeous, and it has the French flaps, so I can't even. This is a historical fiction book set in London in the summer of 1763, revolving around the main character Anne Jacobs, who has been taken advantage of by one of her tutors and then kind of forced into a marriage that she did not want, and is exploring how women at that time had so few choices or power over their own life. And it was blurbed by Hannah Kent. Again, I'm going to mention burial rights in this video because it's just that amazing. And I just saw Jen Campbell had the author, Janet Ellis, on one of her podcasts, and she raved about this book, gave it 5 stars, so, you know, Jen Campbell says, I must obey. So that is it for part 1 of my publisher's book haul. I hope maybe I introduced you to a newer released book, or if you have already read some of these books, as always, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!